Magic Foundations is coming out very soon. So before the set launches, I wanted to take a moment to talk about some of the cards that I am the most excited to see. Now, these may or may not end up being very competitive staples, but they are cards that I personally am excited to play with, brew with, and climb the ladder with. So we're going to get started today with white. And the first card that I am very excited to play with is Lora Dawnbringer. Now, what is Lora Dawnbringer? Lora Dawnbringer is a 5-mana, 5/5 white angel that helps out all of your other angels as well. And the reason why she's on my list is not because of her ability to help other angels, but because she is on her own a very solid finisher for a control deck. It is a 5-mana, 5/5, and it has flying, first strike, and lifelink. The fact that she also gives other angels lifelink and +1/+1 is just, honestly, cherry on the cake, because it's just a really good card. It's well statted. It's a absolute beater, puts players on a clock, and helps you stay alive longer. The fact that it happens to have first strike as well is also another very good reason to run this card, because a lot of people aren't going to be too willing to run their creatures into a first striking, life linking creature. So that's why Lora gets the first spot on my top 5 cards of the set. Okay, next up is a card that, honestly, I'm not sure really needs to be reprinted, because this is a really punishing card for aggressive decks. And that card is, of course, Authority of the Consuls. Now, what does Authority of the Consuls do? Well, it basically shuts down aggressive strategies. If you have a strategy that is based around haste and hitting people really hard, really fast, Authority of the Consuls shuts you down. It basically is a 1-mana white enchantment that reads, your opponent's creatures come into play tapped, and whenever an opponent plays a creature, you gain 1 life. This is absolutely absurd, especially surrounded by the life gain package that Foundations is bringing in for white. Mono white, or even blue-white control, is set up really well to take over the meta with a card like Authority of the Consuls brought in. I'm conflicted, personally, on this card. As a person who plays a lot of mid-range, I don't want to see this card on the opposite side of the table. This is really going to set me back. But also, as a person who really loves control, I'm excited to see it. It really makes me excited to play this card and to really just bend over aggro decks. I'm really excited to play this card. So that's why it gets the second spot on my top 5 white cards of the set. My third card in my list here is Giada, Font of Hope. Now, I don't have an Angel's bias, but I do really like Giada because of where she sits in not just mana base, but what she does for her tribe. The fact that she is a 2-mana, 2/2 angel that has vigilance and flying, so that right there is solid. 2/2 flying, vigilance for only 2 mana. I mean, that right there is enough reason to play her. The fact that she can tap to add mana that is usable to play more angels, and she gives other angels a +1/+1 counter for every other angel that is already in play when they enter. I mean, that just makes her an absolute all-star of a tribal lord for angels. And honestly, I would be silly to play any kind of angel-based strategy without her in it. She is an absolute role player in any angel deck. You want to be running 4 of her so you can draw her early and play her on curve. She's just such a great card to enable an angel-based strategy. So you'll be damn sure that I would be playing Giada, and that's why she gets a spot in my top 5 list of white cards for this set. Now, the next card in my list is an uncommon, called Sunblessed Healer. Sunblessed Healer is a very interesting card. Now, the reason why I like Sunblessed Healer so much is it's a 3/1 with lifelink for only 2 mana. Already pretty good. But if you kick it for 2 additional mana, you get to bring a non-land permanent from your graveyard back into play for free. Well, not really for free, you're paying the kicker cost. But the point is it doesn't bring back a creature, it brings back a non-land permanent. So you can bring back any of your enchantments that cost 2 or less, artifacts, anything that costs 2 or less mana, the Sunblessed Healer can bring back from the graveyard. So what are you going to be bringing back? Well, first thing that comes to mind is Shelter by Ghosts. Shelter by Ghosts is 2 mana and is a really, really good enchantment to bring back from the graveyard. Or maybe you bring back Audacity in green, or maybe you bring back a discard enchantment from black. Like, the opportunities for this card to do really good synergistic things for you are almost limitless. Like, this is a really, really solid card, and I fully expect to be seeing a lot of Sunblessed Healer going forward. And the last card that we're going to be talking about today is Cathar Commando. Cathar Commando is a card that wasn't standard until this most recent rotation, but I'm very happy to see it come back because it was a card that I was always really happy to play, especially at his sideboards, because this was a really solid play. So basically, it's 2 mana for a flash speed 3/1 soldier that you could sacrifice to destroy an artifact or an enchantment. So it was a really good card for flashing in as a cheap immediate blocker, assigning it as a blocker to a non-trampling creature, and then sacrificing it immediately to destroy an artifact or enchantment that was being pesky. So a really good way to utilize this is to destroy opposing enchantments that were holding your other creatures. So you assign it to block, blow up an enchantment, get your guy back. At this point, it's too late to assign it as a blocker, but you do have it back. And if you have any creatures that are locked up that have good enters the battlefield effects, you get that enters the battlefield effect again. So awesome. Really good card. And for me personally, it is one of my favorite things to sideboard in against enchantment or artifact-centric strategies. So I'm really happy to see this card coming back, and I fully plan on jamming it into sideboards going forward. So very, very happy to see this card coming back. And there you have it. That is my top 5 cards that I am excited to see coming in Magic: The Gathering Foundations. So at this time, I'd like to turn the camera towards you and ask you, what are your top 5, or what are even like your top 1 cards that you're excited to come back with this set? What are you excited to play? What do you think is going to be the next new hotness that's coming with this set? Or do you think that I'm just completely off base and wrong with my assessment of these cards? I don't think I am, but maybe you've got a better idea than I do. So let me know in the comments down below. And if you got any kind of value from today's video, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this stuff, and let the algorithm do what the algorithm do. So until next time, y'all take care of yourselves.